Whoa!
Ooh, welcome back, everybody. We have officially started our third playthrough, New Game Plus Plus. For this one, because I'm not going to record the whole thing. Again, the keys are going to be, we are going to have to travel to every area. I'm going to record getting any of the new rings that have shown up in this playthrough, of which there are a few. But of note, we will also be getting Yol and Yuria's questline done, and Sirius's again, so that we can enlist their aid for the Twin Princes fight and the final fight of the game. Alright, so with that, I will see you when I get to the next ring. After beating Ayudek's Gundyr again, you can come out this door. And there will be a ring immediately on the left. While in the high wall of Lothric, you have to come into this three-tiered room where we had the two dogs, there were two large axe hollows, and a halberd hollow. This is where we found the silver eagle kite shield. This is where we found the broadsword. This is where our very first Estus shard was on this table. But now, in the back corner here, there's a new ring. A quick note about boss souls on this playthrough. Now they're on the last one, we're actually going to transpose most of them. So if you have been popping them immediately when you get them, now is the time to stop. I'll interject here and there when I turn mine in, but for right now, this one specifically trades in for a ring that we need to get all the achievements, and you can't transpose any souls until you get the transposing kiln from the curse-rotted Greatwood. So, long story short, just hold on to this soul for right now. So I'm not going to record each and every one of them, but I wanted to interject just to remind you that you're also going to want to get all the Covenant items that you can find on your journeys across New Game Plus Plus. The first one being killing Holy Knight Hodrick in the Undead Settlement gets you a Vertebrae Shackle. So you're definitely going to want to either go back to previous walkthroughs and look for the collectible Covenant items. Those are Vertebrae Shackles. Here, hang on, I got a list. They are all these. Sunlight Metals, there's one. Proof of Concord kept. Human Dregs, Wolf's Blood Swordgrass, Vertebrae Shackles, and Pale Tongues. So make sure you go through and get all of those. Yeah. That will save us time for our farming at the very end of all of this. After fighting that first demon in the undead settlement that Sigward can help you with, you've got that building past him. So there's the courtyard where you fight him. And there's that building past him that ends up leading to two evangelists. You can get up on the roof, and you might remember this is where Flynn's ring is. However, can we see it? There it is. If you drop down, you might want to equip the silver cat ring if you're scared, but if you just use this, you should be able to make it without dying. And you can get the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring +2, which will give you, I think it's 30% more souls from vanquished enemies. So if you're still trying to build up all those tons of souls, then use this. After killing the curse-rotted Greatwood, we can return to Firelink Shrine. Oop, not this way. This way. And we can give the transposing kiln to Ludleth. And I think since this is the first time I've talked to him this playthrough, I'm going to have to go through his little introduction. There you go.
See, now, transposition, right?
Now we can begin transposition. We are not going to need anything that the Great Wood Soul gives us, because he just gives us 2 weapons. We also don't need this hammer that the Soul of Vort gives us, but we do need Pontiff's Left Eye in order to get all the achievements. Make sure you transpose the Soul of Boreal Valley Vort in order to get it. Otherwise, you'll have to do a whole nother playthrough. And after you beat the Great Wood, you should be able to anyway, talk to Leonard. Who is up here by the main throne. And he gives you the 5 cracked red eye orbs.
Use them to pillage. What else? Pillage ember. What else?
And then next time we come back to Firelink Shrine, you should talk to him again. Given that you've been following this since the first playthrough, because if you have, you should have the full red eye orb already. If you do not, he will give you a key and instruct you as to where you can find one. If you do have one, though, things are going to be a little bit different, and you're going to further his quest. We need to further his quest line, which we have not done yet, in order to get a miracle needed for the achievements. So make sure we pursue this line this time around. As for this soul, we can use that. In the Road of Sacrifices, after you kill the Corvians over by this overturned wagon, remember there was the shaman over here. You turn left of this tree over where it kind of scoops in the cliff. You can barely see a little outcropping down there that we can drop down onto to get a new ring. And a pretty decent one at that. And then we can drop down here. You might want to equip the Silver Cat ring again and be mindful of the fact that Man-Eater Mildred, I think is her name, is also down there. Or you equip yourself ready for that. While in the Road of Sacrifices, you want to get invaded by Yellowfinger Heisel in the swamp area. Ooh, hey. So make sure to ember up and walk around until you get the little notification. It's nice if you clear out the giant crabs first, but it's not necessary. And he loves to cast Hidden Body and Hide. As I was saying, you want to beat him at least once, I think. I like to beat him both times here and in Fair and Keep, just to be safe. But his actually has a secret quest line that we did not accomplish the first time around. That leads to the very last gesture, which again is needed for all the achievements. So make sure you kill Yellowfinger Heisel given every opportunity. After beating the Crystal Sage, we're going to do some transposition. We also have Sirius to talk to. But last playthrough, you should have traded in the Soul of the Crystal Sage for one of his 2 items. Well, now we're going to get the second.
Sure.
Either you got the Crystal Hail, or you got, where is it? There it is. The Crystal Sage's Rapier. And since I got the Crystal Hail, I'm going to go for the Rapier. But if you got the Rapier first, then go for the Hail. Technically, this is not needed for any achievements, but it increases your item discovery by, I want to say 50. Don't quote me on that. And it'll make our farming a little bit easier at the end. So I like to go ahead and get it. Also, we want to talk to Leonard again. Show him that we have a full red eye orb.
Well, remember making a few NK's been. I can see. If you fancy a proper NK's been, I can see. If you fancy NK's, I can.
We have to reload the area again. Okay, well, we'll do it when we get back. So whenever we find the next bonfire, I'm going to travel back to here, talk to him again. So now I've reloaded Firelink Shrine. Now we should be able to talk. Ah, perfect. Gonna make sure that Leonard has moved on. If you have the full Red Eye Orb, he'll move on and we'll find him in Rosaria's chambers. So make sure you check this before you get to her chambers in the Cathedral of the Deep, which is where I am now. Well, I just got to the cathedral itself. I haven't hit her chambers yet. But we will return to get a ring there. There's a pale tongue. And then you continue his quest line when we reach Rosaria. All the way over in the Cathedral of the Deep. You have to climb all the way back up to where the rafters are, which means taking that elevator that is accessible from the second shortcut back to the church bonfire. You come up from this hill right here, and you might remember when you turn left, there's a great axe-wielding hollow right here, but now he's guarding a new ring. When you get to Rosaria's bedchambers, if you beat Longfinger Kirk, you get his armor again. But you actually want to do something new here. Oop. There we go. We offer exactly one pale tongue. No more, no less. Now that's going to eliminate Sirius's quest line, but going to further Leonard's quest line, which is what we need to do. Get all the trophies. And next time you come back here, I don't think he's over here now, but Leonard should be resting up against the wall right around here somewhere at this entryway. I think you have to get to a certain point before he spawns in here. Or you just have to reload the area. I don't remember. After defeating the Deacons of the Deep, if you summoned Horace and Henri, which I have been, you can talk to them again to further their quest. And make sure you transpose the Deacon's soul into this sorcery. Otherwise, they drop the Cleric's Candlestick, which we don't need for all the achievements. So make sure you grab that. After lighting the second bonfire in Farron Keep, or the second fire, not bonfire, extinguishing the second flame. This is the flame closest to the Keep Ruins bonfire that you can see at the end of the bridge there. But before we go there, come around the back of the wall where the flame was. And if you go all the way to the end of this path, there is a new ring. Make sure you do the little bit of sidetracking to kill the stray demon again, because we have to transpose his soul one more time. And remember, he's weak to fire, dark, but resistant to fire. After coming down the slope from the Keep Ruins bonfire, right next to the little gazebo type thing, housed an undead bone shard. If you've killed Yellowfinger High Soul, either here or back in the Road of Sacrifices, and you've given Rosaria one pale tongue, then his summon sign will appear here. And you can summon him for the final gesture. Which gets our achievement. Your second playthrough, you should have transposed the soul of a stray demon into one of two things. So now we're going to transpose it into the other. His turns into either Boulder Heave Pyromancy or Havel's Ring, and you need both to get all the achievements. Whichever one you didn't get in the last playthrough, you should get now. I got the Boulder Heave, so now I'm going to get Havel's Ring. At the Catacombs of Covetous, while you're on the very first bridge that you reach, the one that has the undead knight and the two undead soldiers at the end, if you look to the left, on top of this one pillar is a new ring. So just slightly drop down to it to get the Ring of Steel Protection +2. Now we're back after the Catacombs of Covetous to transpose the soul of High Lord Wolnir. So let's come over here. And he only has one thing we want, which is Black Serpent. You might have gotten earlier, because it's not a bad thing to get early on. But I find it to be a little unwieldy. So transpose Wolnir's soul for that pyromancy. And now, unfortunately, we have to do Smoldering Lake again, because there's a ring. Luckily, we don't have to go all the way through it. We just have to go about a third of the way. And then we can face the old Demon King again. And then we're off to... what's after that? Oh yeah, Irithyll. Right, so we'll see you then. Once we get into Smoldering Lake, you have to run past the Sandworm, which I just ran past. You can also take the time to kill Horus if you're going for Uria's questline again, so that we can summon her for the final boss fight. But once you get past the crazy difficult, whatever you want to call it, pathway, with the several demon clerics, just past the bonfire, as you can see, I just ran past everything. Run straight into this walkway. You might want to kill the Gru that's on the left, because he will aggro onto you, as I've done. But remember, there's the illusory wall over here that houses a Black Knight fighting a Gru. So let them take care of each other. And then you can take care of the Knights. Get another Black Knight sword. But most importantly, in the back here is a Flame Stone Plate Ring +2. And also, luckily, that's the only thing we need in Smoldering Lake. You don't even need to kill the old Demon King if you don't want to. I always do, because he's right here, and it's pretty easy, so it's almost like free souls. But after that, we're straight to Irithyll. After going through the room in Irithyll dungeon that has all the Silver Knights, including the archer up there, it's up to you if you want to go back up the stairs to take care of them, and there's those 3 chests directly above me. I'm not going to bother, because all I'm interested in is that when you exit, if you go all the way around to the right, you get a new ring. All the way in Anor Londo, we've got one thing we need to do, which is to revisit the Blade of the Dark Moon Covenant and Sacred Bonfire that is accessed from coming down the spiral stairs. In the middle of the platform that you turn the lever to raise, and you walk on the invisible walkway. And drop down to the right. We're going to need this when we're farming anyway, because we have to turn in our Proof of Concord caps in to her, so we need a way to get here. And then there's a new ring down these rafters. So equip the Silver Cat ring, which is right there. And let's see here. First we can go down this way, and then try to line it up as best you can, and then drop down. I don't think this is it. Nope. Drop down again. And then this, you can see it through the bars here, through the wood. That's the ring. So we need to drop down on this piece of wood so that we walk over and grab it. Then all we need to do is we're going to beat the boss and transpose his soul. And then we don't have to do anything until all the way over to the profaned capital. So I just beat Aldrich. So now it's time to transpose his soul. Yeah, let me change this back. Oop. Where are we? There we go.
So.
And we're going for the Life Hunt Scythe Miracle, as opposed to his bow. Make sure you get that. And I actually want to take this opportunity, now that we're probably more than halfway through, to note that in order to get the last ending, which is really like the easiest ending to get under normal circumstances, but I think it's better to go for the Usurpation of Fire ending first, because you get those 5 free levels, which makes the first playthrough just that much easier. The downside being, you then have to eventually buy the tower key from the Shrine Handmaid and get the Firekeeper's soul from the top of the tower, give it to the Firekeeper to unlock her ability to heal your Dark Sigil. And then to do that, you have to pay a certain amount of souls, depending on how hollow you are, which, if you've been like me and have the Dark Sigils this entire time, then you should be level 99 hollowing. You should have it maxed out. Unless you're extremely good at this game and haven't been dying hardly at all. In which case, you will have to trade in almost 1,000,000 souls in order to heal your Dark Sigils. The reason I'm bringing that up is because you may want to start saving up for that now, or you can wait because the later bosses give us, hundreds of thousands of souls just by themselves. And we have the farming section to do at the end, just before we beat the final boss for the last time, which obviously gives us a ton of souls as well. I just wanted to point out now that at some point you're going to need close to 1,000,000 in order to get the last ending. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, we're going to head straight through Irithyll Dungeon, and then straight through the Profaned Capital, where there will be one ring. You can speed through Irithyll Dungeon to get to the Profaned Capital bonfire. When you do, you can back down the ladder and out the little secret hole. And you go down and go down these stairs. Way over in the corner here. Kind of hard to see. So you gotta go all the way to the end, and you can pick up a new ring. And the good news is, this is the only thing we need in Irithyll Profane Capital. So, unless you missed anything over in that poison pool area with all the ogres, or if you're working on Sigward's questline and you need to go free him from his jail cell, you're done here. So we can just go straight back, take on Yorm, and then what's after that? We transpose the dancer's soul, and then we get to finish Leonard's quest. As soon as you kill the dancer of the Boreal Valley, there's a slew of things that we can do now. First one being transpose the soul of the dancer.
How so?
Into a miracle. Then we're gonna finish Leonard's quest line, which involves traveling back to Rosaria's bedchambers, which is in the Cathedral of the Deep. Okay, so actually I made a small error. To further Leonard's questline, even if you already have a full red eye orb, as I did, you still have to go down the... You have to go to the tower on the high wall, bonfire, and then go down 2 levels from there. It's like 2 or 3 levels. You have to go all the way down the ladder to where that dark wraith was that gave you the red eye orb, and you have to kill it again, even though we already have the orb. Once you do, then you gotta travel back to Firelink Shrine, where Leonard will be standing over by Prince Lothric's throne, and talk to him and exhaust all his dialogue. Once you do those 2 things, then you can travel to Rosaria's bedchambers. You should find Leonard resting up against the wall by the entrance.
She will be pleased, but be warned, Rosaria's fingers need only otherwise like Yeldonov.
Exhaust all his dialogue again. Make sure you've given at least 1 pale tongue to Rosaria. I've actually given 2. And keep track of any Covenant items that you have turned in, so that you don't accidentally turn in more than you need to. And then, after you beat Yorm, you need to travel to any location and then travel back, I think. When you reload Rosaria's bedchambers, Leonard will be gone, and Rosaria herself will be dead. And you can get a black eye orb from her. The good news is you can still offer pale tongues, reallocate attributes, alter appearance, anything you need to do. Once you get the black eye orb, we need to travel back to Aldrich's bonfire. Is in Orlando, or Irithel. There we go. Upon arrival at Aldrich's arena, we need to go around to where Princess Guinevere was. So come around, wait for the elevator. And go up to her chamber. If you didn't grab the Ring of the Sun Princess or whatever it's called, we can do that. Sun Princess ring. It's just an extra, so we'll just sell it anyway. But you see that the black eye orb is vibrating or responding or whatever it says, which is our cue to use it. We invade the world of Rosaria's killer, which just happens to be Leonard.
Well, never expected to see you here. Couldn't resist her any longer in all her festering glory. And now you want to ravage her soul as well. I sow the seeds.
There he is.
I'll prune the mess. Leonard, swear so upon my vows to the goddess.
We can tackle this fight just like we would any NPC. The only problem is his weapon ignores our shield. Or doesn't ignore it, but still does damage. And if I remember right, he has many Estus shards. Or not Estus shard, Estus flasks. Or maybe not. And when he dies, you get returned to your world. And you get his mask, his weapon, and the soul of Rosaria, which is the whole reason we need to do this. That is required for all the achievements. Now, a word of warning, you can give that back to Rosaria herself to resurrect her. But since you can utilize her even when she's a corpse, it's recommended that you don't do that, because the soul is better used to get a miracle, again, needed for all the achievements. So travel back to Firelink and do just that. Go back to Ludleth.
So.
And we can get bountiful sunlight.
Now.
With that out of the way, we can tackle Lothric Castle. All the way over in Lothric Castle, right before the boss, you can cut right here for a new ring by going up here into this little chapel area and out to this balcony. And there was this gap here that we could drop down. This is how we got the red tearstone ring in our first playthrough. But you're most likely going to want to equip the silver cat ring so you don't die when you drop down. And then we would drop down again to get the red tearstone ring, but this time we're going to turn around and go backwards to get the thunderstone plate ring +2. And now all we have to do is take on the boss. When we first get to the Consumed King's Garden, you want to take the first elevator, drop off early, and then drop down those broken stairs on the left. Carefully. That have the item here. And we have a new ring over there, which is difficult to get to, but it can be done by simply running and then turning right at the top here and just bridging the gap off of pure momentum. You don't have to jump. You should be able to just simply run and go off. And if you do it at the right angle, you can land right on there. Fail like that, just come back to the elevator and try again. It's a little tricky, but you can get there. And once you do, you get a much needed Sage Ring +2. So equip that immediately. And then we need to beat the Consumed King, Osiris, so that we can transpose his soul, and we need to make it to the Untended Graves, because there's a ring there, and we need that boss's soul. Once we make it all the way to the end of the Untended Graves, we've beaten Osiris, we've beaten Champion Gundyr. If you go behind the main throne, There's now a new ring. Then we can homeward bone on out of here. Take care of a few things back at Firelink Shrine. At Firelink Shrine, we've got 2 souls to transpose.
Aha, so.
We need to transpose Consumed Osiris's soul into the White Dragon Breath sorcery, and Champion Gundir's soul into the Prisoner's Chain. Now all we need to do is transpose the Nameless King and the Soul of Lords at the very end. That will be all for the bosses.
Treat the firekeeper.
And while I'm here, you may notice down in the bottom of the right corner there, I've been saving up since I think Lothric Castle. So I'm going to go ahead and buy the tower key, or whatever it's called. Yeah, tower key. And I'm going to get the Soul of the Firekeeper, or I think it's just called Firekeeper Soul, at the top of the tower. And I'll give it to her. And then once I get to 1,000,000, I'll heal my Dark Sigil. Other than that, though, I'm off to the Grand Archives. Unfortunately, you do have to kill the 3 Golden Winged Knights in the Grand Archives one last time, and they're just as hard as they've always been. But we don't have to drop down into those rafters this time unless you missed something. You do, however, need to go up the stairs and around the other side. Find a new ring inside this little alcove. Only 1 ring remains. Now we're going to fight the Twin Princes, and then go through all of Archdragon Peak until we beat that boss. So, as it turns out, in this particular playthrough, I needed way more than the 1,000,000 souls that I thought I needed to heal my Dark Sigils.
Welcome home,
Excuse me.
Speak.
But now that I've saved up, make sure you give her the Firekeeper soul from the Firelink Tower, and then you can heal your Dark Sigil. Make sure you do this before you finish the game. Otherwise, you will get the same ending we got on our first playthrough, and you'll have to do a whole nother one.
Farewell, I may the flip.
Check to make sure that we don't have any Dark Sigils left in your key items. Good, we do not. That means we've done it correctly, and we are no longer hollowed as well. So now, for the first time since starting this, we're back to normal. Now all we have to do to get the final ending is beat the final boss and light the bonfire in the middle. Make sure you do not pick up any more Dark Sigils, although I don't think you can if you've already killed off Yol and married Henri this playthrough, which I have. After defeating the Nameless King again, we're gonna head across the bridge, and on the right hand side here there should be our final ring. Which unfortunately is very hard to spot due to the sunlight. But we finally get our covetous gold serpent ring. So we can equip that. And that's all the rings in the overworld. All that's left for that particular achievement is the covenant items. And all that's left for this playthrough is beating the final boss and doing said farming for those Covenant items. Back at Firelink Shrine, we can transpose the soul of the Nameless King
Aha, so
into the Lightning Storm. After killing the Soul of Cinder for the third time, first of all, congratulations. Second of all we must do now is link the first flame. Make doubly sure that you are not hollow. It would say underneath your level that you have hollowing and then a number. We don't have any. We don't have any dark sigils in our key items. That is how you get the usurpation of fire ending that we got on our first playthrough. But to get the default ending, you just have to link the first flame with none of that. So do that and then enjoy the cutscene. And you are rewarded with the final ending achievement. All that's left to do now is farm for Covenant items so we can get the last of the sorceries, the miracles, the pyromancies, and the rings. We'll have all achievements in this game. Make sure that when it asks you if you want to begin Journey 4, you say no. This time it's extremely important that you do this. If you say yes, you'll start all over, which means you then have to unlock all of the bonfires that get you to the Covenant areas so that you can turn in those Covenant items for these pyromancies and rings and whatnot. So make sure you hit no here. Once you return to Firelink Shrine, you can transpose the Soul of Lords using the ashes where Ludlith used to be. You can pick up his skull ring if you want. When we get this, you get the Sunlight Spear. All that's left after this is to farm Covenant items and then turn in those Covenant items into their respective leaders in order to get the last of the sorceries, the miracles, the pyromancies, and the rings. Those are the last 4 achievements we have, and then you will have completed, or I guess 5, because there's one for getting all the achievements. And then you will have completed Dark Souls 3. So in the next and last video, I'll show the farming locations for being able to get those Covenant items offline. The easiest but long way. And until then, stay safe.